Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and partners watching us online, inside and outside Bosch. Today, I'm very proud to host our very first anniversary of the Curitiba Connectory. My name is Fernando Matsunaga, Innovation Manager of the Curitiba Connectory, and I'll be moderating this event today. I'm very excited to be able to share this event with all of you about innovation, about strategy, and above all, about partnership. The agenda will start with an introduction in Portuguese from our board, followed by our international event of innovation, outside in or inside out? What's the Bosch approach? So stay tuned for our event this afternoon. So now switching to Portuguese for our welcome and introduction. So I'll start out with the Connectory pitch, and I hope you enjoy the event. Falando um pouco de inovação aberta, então, pessoal, como já abordamos nos eventos durante toda essa semana do aniversário e esse mês de aniversário, a gente até abordou isso no evento de segunda-feira com a Randon e Mercedes-Benz, falando de inovação aberta no mercado automotivo. Ele é um ponto muito estratégico para as empresas, sejam elas grandes multinacionais ou startups com poucos meses de vida. A inovação aberta ela é muito importante para poder conectar os diversos parceiros do ecossistema. E isso é muito importante, porque tem que estar localizado de maneira estratégica na nossa organização. Por isso, até o nosso próprio presidente Volkmar Denner já nos trouxe essa frase que eu trago aqui no slide, que para a Bosch, os ecossistemas abertos é um tema que acreditamos, e não só acreditamos, como fomentamos. E para isso que existe o Connectory. Ele é o nosso hub internacional de espaços de inovação e cocriação de fora para dentro da Bosch. Neles é possível gerar parcerias, cocriações para acelerar ainda mais as inovações, sejam eles com projetos corporativos, experiências educacionais e atuar com ecossistemas como um todo. Nós temos 6 localidades hoje no mundo, tanto aqui na América Latina, na América do Norte, no México, nos Estados Unidos, em Londres, também na Alemanha e também na China, em Xangai. E atuando nesses 3 pilares, né, de parcerias, projetos corporativos e também experiências educacionais. E a nossa missão é ser um catalisador, conectando os diversos players, sejam eles startups, o ecossistema, as corporações, as universidades, os institutos de pesquisa, institutos de fomento, e conectando tudo isso com a própria Bosch. Então, a nossa missão é ser esse catalisador e fazer com que esses novos modelos de negócios aconteçam de formas mais rápidas e com melhores resultados. Isso tudo acontece de várias formas, sejam isso com inovação, através de hackathons, de parcerias, de provas de conceito, ou até mesmo em eventos tomando um café em conjunto, gerando novas ideias. E depois de um ano, o que temos para celebrar? Primeiro de tudo, o que eu gostaria muito de fazer aqui é agradecer. Agradecer a todos os parceiros, porque é com vocês e por vocês que nós existimos. Se não existisse essa parceria, também não existiria o Connectory, porque sem vocês seria impossível impulsionar ainda mais a nossa organização e ir além e gerar todos esses resultados que a gente gerou em todo esse tempo. Por isso, é com muita gratidão que eu gostaria de agradecer todos vocês que participaram nessa jornada conosco e que acreditaram e construíram esse sonho nesse último ano. E dentro deste um ano, muita coisa aconteceu. Foram diversos os aprendizados, sucessos e também falhas que tivemos, né? Afinal, inovação não é feito só de sucesso, também tivemos muitas falhas para aprender no caminho, afinal, isso também faz parte da inovação. Tivemos mais de 150 eventos, com mais de 1.000 participantes, sendo mais de 62% desses eventos executados com parceiros externos. E eles geraram 5 novos modelos de negócio com parceiros e startups e diversos leads para as nossas divisões de negócio, junto com as outras corporações. E tudo isso foi fruto de um grande trabalho de todo o time, e por isso eu gostaria de agradecer também ao nosso time do Connectory que faz tudo isso acontecer. E aqui também eu gostaria de ressaltar 3 cases de sucesso que a gente teve durante esse ano, e como é bom olhar para trás, né, e ver como tudo isso foi alcançado. Então, com a Rumo, que é o nosso cofundador junto com o Distrito do Espaço, que a gente tem hoje no Distrito Spark CWB na FAI, onde a gente também já gerou diversas situações de negócio com soluções Bosch para aumentar a segurança das operações de trem pelo Brasil. A FIEP também, junto com o edital de inovação do SESI e Senai, onde estamos acelerando 2 startups junto com ideias internas para gerar um business conjunto, uma com a startup Network Agro, onde estamos atuando no agronegócio, e também da Prevision junto à cadeia automotiva. E também uma grande parceria com as próprias universidades, né, aqui também da região do Paraná, então onde a gente já tem contratos com elas, e a gente lançou um programa chamado TCC Day, onde tivemos mais de 60 ideias de projetos, dos quais 15 já têm projetos firmados, onde os alunos executam os TCCs dentro da nossa empresa e a empresa também traz temas relevantes para a academia para ajudar no desenvolvimento dos alunos. Então, claramente gerando situações ganha-ganha para todos os lados. E tivemos muitos eventos esse ano, né? Tivemos hackathons, tivemos processos seletivos, treinamentos de novas competências. Foi realmente um ano muito cheio de eventos que a gente teve aí. E, para não ser diferente, agora no momento de pandemia, estamos tendo não só esse evento de abertura, como também teremos vários outros eventos durante esse mês. Aqui eu trago alguns exemplos, né? A gente vai ter alguns eventos do ecossistema do Canadá, que a gente está trazendo aqui para a gente conhecer no Brasil amanhã. Teremos também, na semana que vem, eventos sobre o novo espaço de trabalho durante a pandemia, com o nosso gestor da Bosch, o Douglas Pacífico, responsável pela área de facilities da planta de Campinas, e também com esse trabalho regional. Um evento sobre inovação também sendo puxado aí, a importância da gestão da inovação e também dos business de IoT. Então siga a gente no LinkedIn, os nossos eventos estão lá, também no Simpla, e tem um mês aí de aniversário recheado de eventos para todos vocês. E por último slide, gostaria de agradecer a todos novamente que estão fazendo parte de tudo isso, desse um ano. É realmente um orgulho muito grande estar representando o nosso time aqui, esse time que não é só Bosch, esse time de parceiros, né? E realmente me enche de felicidade ver esse slide com tantos eventos, tantos rostos, e agora não só de maneira física, como de maneira virtual. E eu também gostaria de dar um agradecimento em especial ao nosso sponsor da divisão Powertrain Solutions aqui da América Latina, no qual a gente nasceu aqui da Powertrain Solutions como um movimento de inovação. Então, gostaria de agradecer e trazer ao palco o Gerson Fini, nosso presidente regional da Powertrain Solutions, para falar um pouco mais dessa importância que a divisão deu para esse desenvolvimento da inovação que culminou na criação do Connectory. Olá, Fini, o palco é todo seu para falar um pouco desses case de sucesso que foi aqui dentro da divisão.
Ok, Matsunaga, boa tarde a todos. Primeiramente, gostaria de dizer que o ano passado, né, nesse período, nós tivemos aí fazendo a nossa celebração de lançamento dessa plataforma em Curitiba, tive aí com o Frank Heine, né, e esse ano, então, devido a essa pandemia, fazemos assim, virtual, mas não podemos deixar de passar esse momento aí com um ano de celebração da existência aí do nosso Connectory. Eu queria agradecer, primeiramente, a todos que estão participando, as diversas divisões aí de negócios da nossa empresa que participam dessa plataforma, nossos parceiros, e aqui todos, né, todos que estão aí com a gente, que foram mostrados aqui pelo Matsunaga, que fizeram aí o nosso, rapidamente, o primeiro, o Frank, na parte de mentoria, o Frank Heine, que voltou para a Alemanha, então a Paula assumiu essa posição, então desejar aí uma boa condução.
Se tiver um probleminha de conexão com o Fini.
Agora vão para os Estados Unidos, numa nova fase da carreira de vocês. Desejo saúde, primeiramente, e muito sucesso lá nos Estados Unidos, nas nossas atribuições de vocês. Ao mesmo tempo que eu desejo sucesso aí para os novos, né, que assumem aí o Connectory, que é o Matsunaga, que acabou de falar com a gente, o César Rossin e o Marco Knaben, apoiados aí pelo time de CCC e também todo o time aí do Jeff. Também agradecer aqui o Gaston, foi uma pessoa importante aí para a construção de tudo isso, inspiração, e agradecimento aí ao Gaston, visto que o Botelho vai falar daqui a pouco, eu gostaria de salientar aí a participação do Gaston, importantíssima aí para a história do Connector. Bom, para a nossa empresa, a inovação é importante, né, obviamente, não só para a geração de novos produtos, sistemas, né, que é o nosso caso na Powertrain, muitos nós tratamos no sistema como um todo, soluções, né, e receita, mas também usamos essa plataforma para otimização das nossas operações em geral, e isso é impulsionado pela parceria que nós temos com vários agentes desse ecossistema, como foi dito aí pelo Matsunaga, em relação aos nossos parceiros, universidades, corporações, startups, institutos de pesquisa, enfim, todos que participam conosco nisso. Nós somos uma multinacional, né, vocês sabem, então, de operações aqui na América Latina, e nós buscamos com isso, com mais essa plataforma, o que a gente sempre fez, tentar buscar o protagonismo, né, dos nossos soluções aqui para o nosso mercado, criar soluções para o nosso mercado, e não apenas esperar que produtos desenvolvidos fora do país sejam aplicados aqui. Nós já começamos há muito tempo atrás a fazer isso. Eu assumi powertrain completa. Antigamente, nós tínhamos a área Gasoline Systems em Campinas, diesel em Curitiba, e eu estou já há 12 anos, né, como presidente regional, no começo com Gasoline Systems, e agora há 2 anos com toda a Powertrain Systems, e eu poderia dizer que essa é uma mudança cultural, como empreendedorismo, buscar novas soluções com esse mindset ativo e não passivo. Então, nós estamos buscando sempre esse mindset com o nosso time, onde nós buscamos soluções que sejam competitivos aqui para a nossa região. E um exemplo que eu poderia citar aqui de Campinas, da nossa PS, seria a própria existência do FlexFuel, né? Vamos falar aí com uma pessoa aí que viveu toda a história da inovação do FlexFuel daqui a pouco. O Botelho vai nos dar alguns insights aí na área de inovação, viveu completamente esse processo. E em Curitiba, estamos vivendo, por exemplo, já há mais de 5 anos todo esse processo, por exemplo, na área de agro, onde nós já temos produtos lançados e vários produtos que já estão dando fruto, fruto também das parcerias que nós temos tido ao longo de todos esses anos aqui, porque para nós inovação é um tema estratégico para a nossa divisão e também para toda a empresa Bosch aqui na América Latina. Entendemos que nós criamos uma situação de ganha-ganha com todos os nossos parceiros, buscamos unir o que nós temos de melhor com os conhecimentos que os nossos parceiros trazem para nós, e com isso nós podemos, então, alavancar, né, exponenciar negócios de mais diversas formas, e alguns foram citados aqui agora. Conseguimos fazer isso acontecer na prática. Bom, tudo isso culmina, né, com esse DNA de inovação da nossa empresa, da nossa divisão Powertrain Solutions. Ela culmina nesse nosso hub de inovação. Nós temos, como foi dito aí, 6 hubs no mundo, né, Chicago, Guadalajara, Stuttgart, Londres e Xangai, e nós temos aqui a distinção de contar com esse hub aqui em Curitiba, para toda a nossa América Latina aqui, onde nós buscamos essas soluções alicerçadas em inovações, conhecimento, e abrangendo áreas que a nossa empresa julga vital agora e para o futuro, que estão na área da internet das coisas e inteligência artificial, que nós queremos exponenciar esses campos na nossa corporação mundialmente. Bom, eu novamente agradeço e parabenizo a todos por esse primeiro ano aí de vida do nosso Connectory. Desejo muito sucesso a todos, né? E também que nos inspiram a cada dia. Tenho esse testemunho para dar quando eu entro aqui, eu encontro com os projetos dos nossos times, saio cada vez mais revigorado. E eu acho que essa é uma das características dessa energia, dessa adrenalina aí que esse Connectory nos traz. Gostaria, então, de passar a palavra aí para falar um pouquinho do histórico de inovações e um pouquinho do ponto de vista da empresa como um todo. Botelho, ao qual dou boas-vindas agora, e passo, então, Botelho, o palco é seu. Uma boa tarde.
Obrigado. Boa tarde a todos. Espero que vocês consigam me ouvir bem. Queria agradecer a oportunidade de participar desta festa, né? Porque desse nosso novo baby, que completa 1 ano, Connectory, dizer que para mim é uma satisfação muito grande de participar desse momento aqui. Acho que Fini deu uma visão muito boa da importância do Connectory e o que significa para Bosch, como isso tem impactado também os nossos negócios. Eu acho que a ideia de fazer isso virtual também já é inovação, apesar de forçada por uma pandemia, mas nós estamos aprendendo a conviver a inovar também de forma virtual. Isso é também uma nova forma de inovar. É um momento bastante difícil para todos, mas que cria muitas oportunidades. Então, também estou aqui de home office, participando desse evento, e como muitos de vocês. A inovação para a vida, como bem dito pelo Fini, está no nosso DNA. Nós somos tecnologia para a vida, e já há anos trabalhamos forte nas ideias internas, na criatividade dos nossos colaboradores, na inovação, plataforma fundamental para fazer o futuro da nossa empresa, não é? Vocês sabem que a Bosch é uma empresa que investe muito em inovação, anualmente, a nível global, aqui também no Brasil. Vamos falar um pouco sobre isso. E nós, claro, entendemos que as inovações que saem, como a gente fala, de fora para dentro, que permeia através dessa plataforma do Connectory, ela gera uma série de parcerias muito fundamentais para a criação, para a solução de problemas, e cria um espírito de colaboração muito grande, né? Porque aqui nós aprendemos em conjunto, aprendemos um com os outros as melhores práticas e criamos espaço para inovar mais ainda. Saímos da nossa caixinha e vamos para um ecossistema muito mais forte, mais criativo, com muito mais pessoas pensando. Então, esse baby aí de 1 ano, ele vai conseguir transformar muita inovação nesse mercado, e esse é o nosso objetivo, inovar para a vida e para a sociedade. A estratégia da Bosch, sem dúvida, desde da sua criação, foi não só participar do futuro, mas criar o futuro, modelar o futuro, criar mercados, demandar soluções que possam melhorar a qualidade de vida. E eu acho que no contexto global, nós estamos com essa pandemia aprendendo que muitas coisas na qual colocávamos foco através da transformação disruptiva que estávamos vivenciando antes da pandemia, começa a ter talvez um novo input, requer uma nova forma de se pensar, e a nossa empresa tem estrategicamente pensado nisso. E eu fico feliz de saber que nossos colaboradores, todos eles, com esse DNA de empreendedor, de criatividade, estão buscando também com as parcerias externas, que muito bem aqui elencadas logo no começo da apresentação, são não só empresas importantes, como também institutos de pesquisa, universidades, porque é através disso que a nossa empresa vai conseguir fomentar esse novo mercado, esse futuro novo. Na América Latina, eu acho que Fini colocou bem, nós temos uma aptidão, um dom muito claro de tecnologias. O agronegócio tem sido uma plataforma importante para criar ideias novas e inovar. Temos vários projetos sendo desenvolvidos nessa área, mas também na área da mineração. E com a internet das coisas e com a nossa especificidade, nossa competência na área de sensoriamento, nós estamos podendo, eu acho que contribuir bastante com as ideias que estão, muitas delas surgindo do próprio ecossistema que o Connectory propicia. Não? Eu creio que nós vamos poder empolgar as nossas startups, os nossos parceiros de startups, com ferramentas extremamente importantes para inovar, que é, por exemplo, a nossa capacidade sensorial com tecnologias que envolvem a inteligência artificial e a internet das coisas. Acho que aqui é um grande foco de viabilizar inovações dentro da nossa região América Latina. O Brasil, vocês sabem muito bem, tem esse potencial enorme na área da agricultura, na área da agropecuária, e eu acho que juntos aqui na plataforma Connect vamos poder desenvolver muita coisa nesse sentido. Nós estamos, desde alguns anos, num processo de transformação da indústria automotiva, da indústria de serviços, da indústria da digitalização, da informática, de forma que a pandemia veio trazer, como eu disse anteriormente, um impulso novo, não é? Como será a mobilidade, principalmente do futuro, depois de uma pandemia como essa, não é? Nós tínhamos claramente visões de mobilidade compartilhada, nós tínhamos claramente visões de mobilidade urbana, trazendo muito mais a mobilidade das pessoas nos centros urbanos através de transportes eficientes, né, conectados, e agora nós temos um momento diferente, onde provavelmente muitas coisas serão redefinidas, repensadas, reavaliadas nesse processo de transformação da mobilidade. A aplicabilidade da mobilidade em vários modais vai ter que ser, de certa forma, reinventada. E aqui cria-se uma oportunidade de inovação, de soluções que talvez não estavam no radar anteriormente. Então, eu creio que aqui, nessa transformação, o Connectory tem uma oportunidade muito boa para fazer essa troca, esse debate de discussões após pandemia, o que isso impacta nas nossas tecnologias, nas nossas inovações que anteriormente tínhamos visado. Também recebemos um impulso adicional para a transformação digital, sem dúvida, cada vez mais importante, agora muito mais importante, após esse processo que nós estamos vivendo, e a Bosch tem como seu pilar da transformação digital a inteligência artificial, a internet das coisas, a co-innovation, que é exatamente isso que nós estamos tentando fazer em parceria com vocês, e também a digital trust. Nós precisamos ter confiança nos dados, isso é fundamental que a gente possa manter a confidencialidade dos nossos dados, os dados dos nossos clientes, e nós estamos trazendo tecnologia que virá para o Brasil em breve, que é a tecnologia do 5G, que vai nos trazer oportunidades de redes privadas. Nós temos discutido com o governo federal, eu creio que a licitação da 5G deve acontecer nos próximos meses, mais tardar no começo do ano que vem, onde nós vamos receber um impulso novo para a inovação na área digital. Eu acho que isso é uma grande oportunidade, principalmente para as startups que vão estar trabalhando nesse segmento. Bom, nós temos várias parcerias de sucesso global. Eu destaco uma que é a PowerCell, por exemplo, parcerias que são importantes para o desenvolvimento de tecnologia da célula de combustível. Nós acreditamos que nós, como Bosch, precisamos pensar no futuro de longo prazo, quais são as alternativas que teremos de propulsão para cada vez mais reduzirmos os efeitos estufa que o nosso planeta tem. Essa é uma visão estratégica, clara, bem definida da nossa empresa. Eu acho que aqui nós poderemos também trabalhar juntos com os nossos parceiros, nas coisas que são voltadas também para o mercado nacional, como o uso do etanol. O Fini acabou de mencionar a importância dos motores flex, que nós vamos ter uma combustão ainda, motores a combustão forte, dominando o nosso mercado nos próximos anos, é um fato, mas nós podemos desenvolver muita coisa ainda, mesmo com motor a combustão, mas nós precisamos estar com o nosso pé na eletrificação, nós precisamos estar com nossos conhecimentos claros, acadêmicos, né, nas tecnologias que virão futuras, como, por exemplo, células de combustível, olhar a biomassa de uma forma muito mais integrada e como soluções que possam também trazer atratividade para o mundo, não só para o Brasil. De certa forma, eu creio que nós estamos num dos momentos ímpares para a criatividade brasileira. A inovação que nós temos como um impulsor para criar novos produtos e soluções para os nossos clientes, ela está agora com, eu diria, uma força muito maior. E aí, para vocês realmente a trilhar essa jornada da inovação junto com o Connectory, com essas parcerias conosco por mais muitos anos. Estamos comemorando o primeiro ano, queremos estar aqui em breve comemorando o segundo, terceiro, quarto ano e já vendo os frutos, né, os projetos na rua, os startups de sucesso acontecendo. Então, quero dessa forma terminar dizendo que vocês fiquem bem, com saúde, se cuidem, se adaptem a esse novo normal, que é realmente inovar dentro de uma base diferente da qual nós estávamos acostumados. Inovar no virtual, inovar na colaboração, na generosidade, não é? Isso é muito importante para que a gente possa evoluir com os nossos negócios e que a gente possa também evoluir como ser humano, como pessoas. Afinal, a Bosch é tecnologia para a vida, tecnologia que melhora a qualidade de vida das pessoas. Muito obrigado, passo a palavra ao nosso anfitrião, Matsunaga.
Obrigado, Botelho. Obrigado, Fini. Esses insights sobre tecnologia para a vida, sobre esse nosso futuro de internet das coisas e inovação, tanto na região quanto nas divisões de negócios, são muito importantes. Gostaria muito de agradecer a presença de vocês dois aqui hoje no evento. Realmente, como o Fini já agradeceu também, ao Gaston, nosso sponsor também, e que fez a abertura, inclusive, no ano passado, e a Paula, que é nossa sponsor aqui também na planta. É muito orgulho poder representar todo esse time aqui na nossa região, e é muito importante ter todo esse suporte da alta gestão, que são vocês. Muito obrigado pela participação, e agradeço por estarem participando aqui no evento junto com a gente. Bom, e agora então, saindo da parte de introdução e indo para a nossa parte principal do evento com o nosso painel, eu vou voltar para o idioma inglês. So, with no longer ado, I would like to change to English to host our main event following our opening ceremony. And the innovation, outside in or inside out? What's the Bosch approach? So I'd like to call to stage a very strong team to talk about how Bosch is approaching innovation in both those two ways, so outside in and inside out perspective. So I'd like to call to stage all four players, which are from inside out innovation, Bruno Bragassa and Cesar Rossin, and from outside in perspective, calling two international guests, which I would like to thank as well for taking part, Dennis Bocker and Johannes Grabowski. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me in this event.
Hello.
Hello, Fernando.
Hello, also from my side.
So, today we are talking about two different perspectives of the same thing, on innovation. So first of all, I'd like to talk to you and have a brief introduction from your part. So hello, Bruno and Cesar. Could you talk a little bit about yourselves and how you are working with inside out innovation here at Bosch?
Yes,
Shall I go?
Of course.
Go ahead, Bruno.
Oh, sorry. Okay, good. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to congratulate the Connectory Curitiba by their first birthday. Also, it's still a baby, like Botelho just said before. The results achieved in this 1 year of life were very significant. So congratulations to the whole teams, promoters, and of course to those involvement in this endeavor. A short introduction from myself. My name is Bruno. I've been working here at Bosch for a short time, only 35 years. I start my career in the R&D area of automotive business unit, called at that time K3. For those with more than 50 years old, maybe they know what I'm saying. Where I stayed for 23 years, of which 5 years at the headquarters in Germany, in Stuttgart. And then I decided to move and to create a new corporate area responsible for public funding for innovation, looking for partnerships with university and research institutes, and intellectual property. And for the past 3 years, I'm also responsible for the new business area. I believe that during this panel, we'll have the chance to go deeper on this topic. So thanks for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here and to share this panel with all of you.
Thank you, Bruno. So Cesar, can you go on and talk a little bit about
Thanks,
it?
Bruno. Yeah, for sure. So hello, everyone. For me, it's also a pleasure to be here. Yeah, also to share the stage with these guys. And up front, I introduce myself. I would say that we can also see your questions and comments in the chat. And nowadays we are astonished, I would say somehow, with so many lives. That it's important, and we also have discussed that it's important that you place your questions to us, that we can make this, let's say, discussion and this panel more interactive, yeah, and be more, let's say, enthusiastic and be more excited about this discussion. Well, from my side, as mentioned, my name is Cesar. I'm working not as long as Bruno at Bosch, so I barely almost a decade at Bosch, and I'm more into the one certain or specific business unit, as we call in Bosch, and also for the audience get to know, is the powertrain solutions, where, as Pini mentioned previously, we are basically doing engines or products to serve the ICE, as we call, so internal combustion engines, yeah, for commercial vehicles, passenger cars, and now also electrified business. Well, as a short hint and a short introduction, I think this is from my side as well.
Okay, very nice. So 2 people working with innovation inside Bosch. And right now I'd like to call Dennis Bocker and Johannes Grabowski to also explain a little bit of what they are doing, their history here at Bosch, and also what they represent with outside-in innovation. So Dennis, could you please start with your brief introduction from your part?
Maybe unmute, Dennis.
Hint. That's a good hint, Johannes. So thank you for the invite, Fernando, and it's great for me. It's a great pleasure for me to be here again for the 1-year anniversary, as I was also at that point and personally in Curitiba for the opening ceremony, and really proud of the team to see what we have achieved over the first year. So it's great to see how much we could do with the resources that we put into the Curitiba Connectory. A little bit of background to myself. I'm with Bosch now 19 years, so I'm kind of in the middle of Bruno and Cesar, if you will, and was in the US for approximately 8 years, from 2011 and 2019, as the regional CIO for Bosch. And as part of that role, we also figured out that we need to develop kind of a different role for how we approach innovation from an IT perspective originally, because we see that with the digitalization and IoT, the internal IT plays a different role now. And that was the starting point for reorganization. And as part of that innovation initiative, we also figured out that we can not only look inside our organization, but that we also need to partner and go outside and look outside. As part of that, we developed the Connectory concept and started the first Connectory in Chicago in 2017. And so this is now kind of, we have, as you mentioned in your introductory slide deck, we have a couple of Connectories now globally as a network. And yeah, I'm happy to have these places to foster co-creation and co-innovation with partners. And we for sure have more time to discuss that during the panel.
Thank you very much. So Johannes, I think it's your time to take the stage.
Yeah, perfect. Actually, I'm pretty excited. You know, 1 year of anniversary and you have achieved so much. I'm really, really honored to be here. And, you know, comparing to the colleagues, just to open the stage a little bit, I do come prepared. Okay, I have 2 slides because this will describe my role a little bit. That's my first slide. I'm representing RBVC. RBVC is Robert Bosch Venture Capital. So we are investing in startups all around the world. And this is, we are one of the oldest venture capital guys around. We are around about 12 years old and have 50 companies in our portfolio roundabout. And on the other side, investing is not enough because the world is so big and so huge and diverse. We are also running something that's called Open Bosch. And Open Bosch is all about connecting to startups, making sure that Bosch is working with the best startups out there, helping them to get a good entry into Bosch, not getting stuck in purchasing, not getting stuck in legal discussions, just the beef, getting the scale of the huge organization. And in that aspect, we are closely working together with the connectories around the world, and especially also with the connectory, of course, with you guys. On Monday, we had a great session, where we identified some cases. So we are very, very closely linked, and we are partners in crime, so to say, I would say.
Yeah, but it's a very good crime, actually, because we are trying to create something new for Bosch, and that requires a lot of energy, not a lot of effort. And by the way, very nice slides, very good presentation from your side. Thank you very much, Johannes. So let's start then our discussions, because it's not only about presentations. First of all, I'd like to talk then a little bit about the inside-out innovation approach, and why is it important for business to keep looking for trends and to keep innovating. So Cesar and Bruno, could you talk a little bit about how Bragaça is starting maybe as a leader of the Grow initiative here in Latin America, of what's the importance of innovating to create the future of companies such as Bosch?
Okay, yes, of course. But maybe before start saying really about the importance of inside out, let me shortly explain about the new business at Bosch. The new business initiatives at Bosch are partially consolidating a global innovation hub that we call Grow. Maybe if you are more interested in getting to know about this platform, you can access www.growplatformtogether.com. So this platform consists of 8 innovation hubs in 8 different regions: Latin America, North America, Europe, China, India, Japan, Africa, and Asian. So my new business team here, where I'm responsible for, together with BISB, this is a separate legal entity here in Brazil created to scale those new business, are part of this Grow Global platform, represent the InnoHub LA, Latin America. So, but where's the link then with Grow and the inside-out approach? This is exactly the point. If you see the Grow page, you find that the Grow is the Bosch internal incubator for global internal startups and intrapreneurs. That means we use the inner strengths and capabilities of the organization, trying to help Bosch to continue your success history. And how? By providing new big profitable business on a global scale, and sometimes at a high speed. This is what we try to do. It's sometimes fails, but well, this is what we try to do. And how do we do that? This is very interesting, because we try also to do in an agile, systematic, and structured way, following a well-defined framework that we call BIF, Bosch Innovation Framework. Briefly, this framework followed the stage gate model with 8 stage or phase, starting with the definition of new search fields for Bosch, and until the creation of a new company. This is the inside out. That means we aim to make some spin-offs and create new companies. And this is how we try to do. In the beginning, we put the focus more on search field for smart agriculture, and because the region play a very important role here to feed the world, and also, of course, the huge opportunity to increase the productivity in agribusiness using IoT and artificial intelligence. now we start also to look to other global search fields like smart construction, real estate management, and good movements. So therefore, we believe that the inside-out initiatives, of course, balanced with outside-in also initiatives are crucial to maintain this company's future. After all, we have a workforce of 400,000 employees, and I'm sure some of these must be great entrepreneurs, and that's we believe.
And you, Cesar, you have also experienced that, in a business division that is trying to generate new types of business, not only staying in automotive, in the section of automotive industry. So what could you say about it? What's the importance of generating those ideas and fostering entrepreneurs, like Bruno said?
Yeah, I think from our side, yeah. So just to explain, especially from those that are watching us and outside of the Bosch, yeah. So Bruno is handling more the outside in perspective in a more corporate wise view, yeah. And then on coming to a specific business unit, then more or less I would provoke the audience saying that even though we say to be innovative and be creative, we need to think outside of the box. Maybe in a few certain moments, we can be creative and innovative thinking inside the box. Yeah, by this I mean that we have certain range that we need to foster. Yeah, so don't get too much out of our, let's say, focus zone. Yeah. And by the inside out perspective, I would bring maybe two different pillars that we can discuss a little bit. Yeah. So innovation efficiency, yeah, is one of these key in terms of inside out perspective. Yeah. Innovation efficiency, we basically bring the more, let's say, focus in getting better in things that we are currently already doing it. Yeah? So we want to get better by doing new things, but considering a scope of things that we already know. Yeah. So efficiency, innovation. Yeah, this is one pillar. Yeah? Second pillar for me would be more like a sustaining innovation. Yeah, where you put some things on top of this efficiency to get in more, let's say, adjacent business. Yeah, so you bring yourself into a, let's say, higher level. Yeah, not only developing or giving technology and products and service to the market, to the society, but also thinking on how you approach your partners, customers, to really build like a business model innovation. Yeah, and this is more going into an adjacent, let's say, line in the sustaining innovation. Yeah, so I would keep these two pillars as, let's say, a focus of what is the inside out perspective. Yeah, and obviously, if you want to stay ahead, and we as Bosch, we want to stay ahead, we need to reinvent ourselves every day. Yeah, and this is really what drives us, I would say. Yeah, so it is very important that we don't wait to do this just when things are going bad or going down. Yeah, because maybe if you wait, let's say, a failing story, yeah, then maybe it's hard to push back. Yeah, and we see nowadays more over and over, yeah, that it's coming faster and faster, the competition around these new topics in terms of everything. And by everything, I mean products, services, business models, partnerships. So it's really important that we keep reinventing ourselves every day. And I think one of the key aspects that the inside out perspective actually brings is based on these two pillars. Yeah, efficiency innovation and sustaining innovation. I'm not saying that what the Johannes and Dennis will bring up front isn't important. Yeah? I'm just saying what we as inside out perspective we are currently focused on. Yeah.
Watch out for spoilers, Cesar. I'm looking for you. But just to get to know, I'll get the point. So we have new business models that can rapidly change the game.
Of both.
I'm just joking, but just to let you know. So, like summarizing what you and Bruno said, we have a lot of importance in innovation so that we can keep sustaining our business, creating new business models, and even to defend ourselves when there is a change in the market, an disruption that can really hurt our business or completely remove it from play, and we don't have to go only when things are going bad. But then I would like to handle to Johannes and also Dennis, if big corporations like Bosch has the capital resources to generate its innovation inside its borders, and it has proven it throughout histories, what's the relevance of generating innovations also in an outside-in perspective? That means close with partners, generating the idea sometimes not inside Bosch. So what would you say in that perspective?
Okay, so I would say it very distinctively. Well, ABVC is now active in startups for 12 years, so we know what's happening out there. And we see that you were referring to our history. You know, we were in existence since 130 years, but we see a strong shift, a strong market shift. So things are happening differently. And two things Cesar already named, and I'm pretty sure we'll touch the other ones. You know, it's speed, it's complexity, it's digital transformation. But there's one factor, and that is my factor I have to explain because I'm in that role, is money, actually. You know, since the breakout of the financial crisis, you know, the investments in the startup world, especially, multiplied by a factor of 20. So we are not living in a world what we lived in 10 years ago. So in some aspect, this changes our whole setup. This changes the environment. Suddenly there are competitors, partners, or customers coming up we have not talked to last year, for example. So this is something that we need to adapt, and this is something we need to be aware of. You know, we can simply not, you know, compete against 250 billion euro of investment capital out there on startups that are all relevant for us. And that is something, a big continental shift. And this is why we're working in Curitiba with startups. You know, that's the reason why we are bringing in these startups. And we just have to make sure that we're on top of it. So that was my pledge basically for the outside in approach, just focusing on money alone, but there's a lot of ammunition left over for Dennis to take over.
Okay, so thanks, Johannes, for the first pieces of outside in fight. And one of those cliches, the smarter people always sit outside your organization. Yeah, so this is just to put another one on top of it. But joking aside, I think if you're coming to that from an innovation management system approach, and if you're coming from the corporate vision and corporate strategy, and then you align your innovation strategy according to that, the next step that you would do is you would really align your innovation portfolio. And as Johannes already mentioned, speed is also a very determining factor in it. So, and if you're looking at all the topics, problems, domains that we are working on. For instance, Bruno mentioned construction as one of the elements from a global perspective that we are working on. I believe that if you are looking at, for instance, an innovation portfolio around construction, you are not talking only about inside out or outside in as an either or, but you're talking about both of it. Yeah, so we are having a growth challenge about construction, where we are fostering those internal ideas, internal startups, and we're incubating them, I think, very well. So just pledge that the inside-out approach is working well there. But on the same side, to come with Johannes, we see that there is tons of companies out there that provide solutions already, and it would not make sense to go out there and try to develop that ourselves if there is already a solution in the market. So it's much better and much smarter to go outside and get those companies interested in working and partnering with Bosch, finalizing solutions, working on solutions, developing POCs, and then scaling up. Because From my point of view, we always need to see this. If you're looking at an innovation portfolio and you want to make a decision which problem you are solving inside out and outside in, besides many others, there's two criteria that from my perspective are really relevant. Is the IP of that problem really critical to yourself and to your company? So is this really something where you say this is core capability, this is core competence? Then you probably rather go for an inside-out approach. If time to market, go-to-market speed is the most relevant and critical topic that you have to foster, most likely you better go to the market, because you will find most likely a company, if you have a good scouting process, and just some regards here to our GSPO team, our scouting team, if you have a good scouting team out there, and you have RBVC, you have all these structures around, then you will most likely find at least a few companies that already deal with the problem that you want to solve. Even if they do not bring the 100% of the solution that you're looking for, they are probably coming with 50, 60%. And you can take that as a time advantage to develop it yourself. And on top of that, it's not only a time benefit, it's also a risk minimizing benefit that you're getting out of it. Because if you do not develop yourself, you do not waste potentially resources on developing something that later on is probably too late or not relevant for the market. And that's my part of the pledge for outside in.
And just as I understood from both of you, it's very important that we develop new things, of course, with high speed, looking for partners, looking for startups, and of course, it can be generated inside or even together with the partner. But then I would like to ask you, if it's all about the speed and time to market, what is the role of the user in both outside in and inside out innovation? Because as I have a quote here from Steve Jobs, for example, that it's really hard to design products by focus groups. A lot of times people don't know what they want until you show it to them. So what would you describe, for example, for Bosch, that has a lot of knowledge to develop its own things like autonomous driving? And on the other hand, you have sometimes the user pains with design thinking. So what would you say in inside out innovation, outside in innovation, wherever it does come from? What is the role of the user on all that? What would you say about it? It's an open debate, then just raise your hand.
Probably I can start to bring some elements of the Connectory into place, because I think Connectory is really the idea. One idea behind the Connectory was also to determine a little bit what is going on in the market, to see what are potentially companies are coming up with ideas. So this is kind of also a sensing the market, what is going on. And just to give you an example, we participated in IoT accelerator programs in 2015 and 16. And that was kind of the beginning of the construction tech topic also. And in the first round, we had, amongst all these startups that applied for that program, we had one startup that dealt with construction. 1 year later, kind of same setup, we had 30 or 40 startups dealing with construction tech topics. And you can sense then, oh, there is potentially a market that is really relevant, because if there's so many companies now, even if the solution as such is not the right solution, but if there's so many companies dealing with that all of a sudden, there must be something in it. And I would say this is definitely something where you see a lot of solutions out there that do not come from a customer pain point, probably necessarily, but come from, hey, I have a great idea, or I can translate that from this domain to that domain. And I believe that this is really relevant and makes a lot of the difference. So therefore, I would say time to market is critical. Customer pain points is also critical. What is more important than once you start developing is that you do it customer centric then. Yeah, so that you really determine and focus down with the problem where you need to go.
Very nice. Someone wants to add up, like Bruno or Cesar, about the inside out. What's the importance of the inputs?
But I think regardless of the approach being used inside out or outside in, I think in both cases, the client, the customer must be in the center. And of course, to construct your business model, you need to put the customer or the customer segment in center and have the attention, because I think that we start prospecting and create a new business using internal capabilities from entrepreneurs, but of course we need to look for the customer and offer the right value proposition for them. And I think this is independent from which approach the customer and the user is one of the most relevant elements to build a new business.
Yeah, maybe just a compliment from my side. I would say, yeah, in any perspectives, I would say that this is very a key success factor or history, yeah, in terms of putting your customer in the center, yeah, and then bringing and being provocative again, yeah, comparing the two perspectives. Yeah? I would say that it's very much more difficult for the inside-out perspective somehow to place this new culture, yeah, because customer centricity, it is not just, let's say, figuring out a person or a thing as a centric orientation, yeah. There are a lot of other, let's say, pillars that you need to fulfill to really be focusing on the customer, yeah. And by that, I would say we have try and this year we also have like an internal strategic initiative which we call over here in Bosch Curitiba, where I'm currently at, customer-centric company, or we call internally CCC, where we really want to try to develop things or new business focus in the customer and for the customer, and but obviously, yeah, in inter partnership, yeah, behaviors, it's really not that easy, yeah, to do this just by saying the word customer centricity. There are a lot of things that you need to change to really be customer centric, yeah. So I'm very enthusiastic as well, saying that both of the approaches must be and must consider customer centricity. But from the outside in perspective, I would say that it's not that this is easier, but it's part of the philosophy, right from the beginning, I would say. Yeah.
Fernando, sorry, may I add something very brief on
For sure, just go ahead.
Because, for example, Bosch created an accelerator program to validate that the business model that the internal startups create. This accelerator program is based on the maybe a methodology from Steve Blank that most of you here in the audience already know. This is called customer development. As you can see, it's not about develop a new product or service, but rather developing a customer, a new market. And what the Steve Blank calls product market fit. But this is somehow also danger, because maybe we can only create incremental innovation, because if you need to ask to the potential customers 100 interviews if this is really a pain, and they know this is really a pain, and they are willing to pay to relieve this, maybe this is an incremental innovation. This is not bad to make incremental or disruptive. We need both. But this is just to demonstrate how during this validation phase we try to develop a customer, to develop market, and not to develop product or services.
And just as a provocation then, because of your discussion, what is the role then of the competition? Because of course, innovation can be driven by our customers, which are in the center, but how does competition play a role in innovation environment? If sometimes we don't even know where the competitors are because they are being born right now. So I know there's a lot of mystery on that, because people say about disruption all the time, but what would you say is the role of competition nowadays?
Well, maybe I would start on that one. I think competition is incredibly tough at the moment, especially in innovation. And you're absolutely right. Nobody knows who's out there who will make the deal at the end of the day. But you know what? There are two sides on it. One, people think that, well, we have to observe the market until somebody turns out to be a winner, and then we know where to orient. And the other thought of thinking, and this is very much within Bosch and the Connectory, is we can shape this future. We can be part of those who are shaping that. And when Bosch is working with a startup or an external partner, this combination is so immensely powerful that suddenly we are not actually having kind of like a betting game, and it's not so much relevant, who else is out there, but we'll have a strong impact and we'll prepare us and our partners, really for success. So we would be the ones that would be the driving force behind it. And I've seen that happening over and over again in certain fields, and it's happening right now. So currently we are running more than 20 POCs and 20 partnerships that are being set up as we speak, to form exactly that. So I think that's the value of Bosch that we can bring in, and we cannot bring in it alone. We want to share. We want to share expenses, we want to share resources, and we want to share rewards, but we also want to share risk.
So if I would summarize, like 2 hints is like sharing risks, doing with partners, and trying to shape the future yourself. Like you don't have to wait for competition to launch something and then you start acting, but you really make it proactive, generating with this customer-centric new ideas and new business models.
Yes. And I think that's especially true for Brazil.
Oh, very good. And the others, what do you think about it? Is competition a thing inside out innovation, like in the fields we already have, business divisions and all this?
Probably adding to Johannes, I think, because he made already most of the points. But for me, looking at the past, we talked a lot about of single dimension. Either it's a customer, or it's a vendor, or it's a competitor. And what we see more and more now is that this is not true anymore. Yeah, so we have a lot of companies that are competitors in one area, that are customers in the other, that are vendors in the third. And we cannot say only because they're competitors in one area that we are not working with them anymore, because we need them in the other areas where they are either a customer, so we want to sell to them, or they are a vendor, so we want to get something from them because they have something that we need for our purpose, or they are a partner, so we need them because we can only develop something that is relevant to our customers together with them, because we do not have all the skills. And if you're looking at digitalization, if you're looking at AI, if you're looking at IoT, I think Mr. Denner, our CEO, has said that several times. Yeah, nobody can do IoT alone. And I think it's not only something that you just say, it is really true. The wheel is turning that quickly that you do not have enough time and enough resources to do it yourself. So you need to focus on your core capabilities. You need to find the right partners. That might be startups, that might be some other groups. And then you need to collaborate in those areas, and you need to be quick, because otherwise some other groups are coming and taking the cake. And this is another piece that is changing from the past. In the past, you could be second or third and it would be still good. If you're looking at digital platforms, there's several studies out there that say the winner takes it all. And this is something we need to be very careful that we have the right domains that we are playing in, and that we have a clear focus on which role we want to play there. Are we a supplier there, or do we really want to determine and organize that domain? And if we want to do that, we need to be early, we need to have the right partners, and we need to be very quick in positioning ourselves.
And as you mentioned, then just Bragasa, I'll give you, but there is no boundaries in competition. Sometimes a competitor can be a client or a partner, like co-opetition, like we used to say. So what do you have to say also, Bruno? Are those boundaries somehow gone? And how do you deal with competitors?
Yeah, I would say maybe it's also important trying to find a USP. in your value proposition. And when I'm talking about USP, the unique selling proposition, is not only about technology, that we need to find something very technology new and protect us. No, I'm trying to say that maybe the channel that we can use is really unique. And because we have at Bosch many types and different types of channels, maybe we can use in a different way, and or make some relationship with others and partners, and have key partners. That means it's a question really to see that could be very high competition on that, but you need to try to find your USP. I think this is at least at a new business team here in Brazil what we try to do, because USP could be also speed. And we know that normally this is not the case that we have at Bosch. This is then we need to try to find another USP. But of course, speed is also time. Let's talk about, for example, a solution that we are trying to implement now to make a fever scan from the employees automatically. Maybe we start to do this. There's a many startups doing this and already in the market. Maybe we'll only keep the solution for Bosch inside, and okay, it's good because we are not speed enough, agile enough to address the market. This is the case, but okay, this is find a USP. Maybe it's also a complement to this.
But you got a very good point, actually, Bruno. Are we as big corporations fast enough in generating innovation, be it inside out or outside innovation? What would you say? Like how we see that a lot of those giants are moving towards innovations, opening up hubs, having strategies like us. And are we fast enough?
I believe that it's we try to change this. We are not fast enough, but we try to change. At least one thing that I like very much here in Latin America is the creation of BISP. This is the Bosch Integrated Solution. This is an agile and a basic rule company. That means they try to be very agile and to scale fast the solution in the market. And because when we try to do under the umbrella from RBLA, from Robert Bosch Latin America, there's so many things happen to block this agility and this velocity, this speed, that it's unbelievable. That's why we decide to create a separate legal entity in an agile way, in a basic rule. And I think we have many good success case, like the livestock solution, for example, like the mining projects. And if you compare to the other regions from Grow, that they don't have this this structure from the a separate legal entity to scale the business, maybe I think we are in an advance, and I like very much also this solution.
It's very nice. So even in big corporations, we can find some ways to be faster and agile. I mean, it's not wrong what has been done, but sometimes you have to know when to keep normal business running with quality and everything that's important. But on the other hand, also have enabling initiatives to go faster on other paths. No? Very nice to hear from Bisbee. And Johannes and Dennis, what do you have to comment on that as well from outside in perspective about those structures we create to go faster than the normal business we have?
Well, maybe I start here again. On the next question, Dennis, you go first. I promise. Faster on the mute button, yeah. So I think you know, but speed is not only important to be on the mute button. Of course, speed is essential. And to be honest, I'm in contact with so many big corporates out there with the innovation departments. And you know what? I think a lot of these big corporates will not exist in 10 years, maybe time. And sometimes if I have a bad day, you know, I'm always doubting, you know, what are we doing? Are we fast enough? Are we even prepared enough for these challenges? And I'm so happy, and this lifts my mood if I see, you know, these results in the regions. You know, not only in Brazil, there are also other good examples out there in the world, you know, where we really master this challenge. We really master this challenge. And the next challenge we have ahead is bringing that to our core units. You know, it starts in the periphery, it starts in Brazil, it starts in a lot of regions. If we can bring that topic within and make it broad and accept it within a broad range, you know, the Connectory being the front runner here. But if we can bring that to the core, we really will strive for the next century. I'm pretty sure.
Dennis, do you have something to add as Connectory leader?
Yeah, I have something to add from my perspective. What is very important, and Bruno mentioned the processes that we have for the inside out. But I also would say we also have that for the outside in. And I think that if we can go fast through those different processes, for instance, we have our Startup Harbor program, an early stage startup program that we launched in Berlin. It's government funded. We also explore now opportunities to bring that to the regions. If we take that comes with a certain result. The same, the venture client program from Johannes and his team. So this comes with the first result, but we need to take that quickly to the next level. So there is a next process step, and that needs to be going very fast. We cannot then allow, after the first result, we have a good POC, and then we wait 6 months, 9 months until we go the next step. It needs to be flawless. So there's a next step. Call it acceleration or incubation or whatever. And then you need to have another milestone, which then is followed up by scaling to economical growth. And again, the decisions need to be taken very quickly. All the legal and purchasing and other boundaries and framework conditions need to be solved ideally upfront. And if we go quickly through those phases, I would say we have the right processes, we have the right competences to drive those projects. We have with RVVC, with Grow, with the Connectory, with Startup Harbor, we have a lot of those programs that can address the different aspects of it. So I would just say what we need to do, we need to believe in all these different programs. We need to have an innovation portfolio that is clearly structured, that we know exactly where we want to focus, so that we are not wasting capacities on things that are not relevant to our strategic search fields that we are looking for. And if we then move quickly through those processes with the help also of our supporting organizations like legal, like purchasing, and like Bruno mentioned, having an organization that can then scale the business quickly and taking a certain level of risk that is probably a little bit more difficult for the mothership, I'm believing that we are on a good way here. And that we can really strive that. And really coming back to my initial thought process, it's not either or if you're looking at inside out or outside in. I would believe that at a certain point in time, they grow together again. And if you're looking at our overall innovation portfolio for a certain domain, we will have inside out solutions in there and outside in solutions. They run through similar processes. They are all customer centric, but they need to be very quick. And they need to be supported from top management down to the supporting organizations. And that, if we can establish that consistently throughout the world, we are in a very strong position coming with all our knowledge about the products in the domains that we are acting.
Very nice, Dennis. I think it's a very good input. Cesar, I have a question for you, and I think it would be very nice because then
may I just add one comment?
Of course, just put it. But I have a question for you. Wait for it.
Okay. He mentioned mothership, yeah, and usually when some friends of me ask if Bosch is fast enough, I usually say, hey guys, if a big ship is turning the direction, yeah, it takes a little while, yeah. Instead of a jet ski, yeah, if he needs to turn around, it's faster, yeah. So for me, I usually play a little bit with these two because I think it's really giving it, let's say, the whole environment of how fast we are, yeah. So we are a big ship. It takes a little while to change the direction. Nevertheless, we have also good, let's say, initiatives that are jet skis that make this direction going transcendental faster. Yeah, and I think Connectory is, for example, a hub where we make connections and make this acceleration even faster. Yeah. This was just my contribution.
I have a question for you, because it's very important what you are saying, because when you see the mothership, like Dennis was saying, or the big ship, like you were saying, that you have the policies to allow open innovation or even innovation inside our home turf, and you have all these schemes and this, how could I say, this strategy put in place. What is the importance and the role of, for example, divisions and even a plant or even a person, like you are doing with your team? Of course, if you have the top management support, what's the importance of the attitude of people to go towards innovation? So
Matsunaga, hello.
You
I
say
think
about
it's
We lost you, Matsunaga, for...
I lost your question specifically.
No, but then, sorry, I just had some issue with the internet. So the attitude of people, if you have everything on place, strategy, top management, incentivizing, what is the role of people and culture in innovating inside business units, for example?
That's a good one. I think in the inside out, somehow, as I mentioned, we need to be creative, but in a certain way that's inside the box. Yeah, more or less, just to have this range or this path, more or less. It's not pathed yet, yeah, but you have a certain boundaries to make it happen. But coming to your let's say word of attitude of people, yeah, I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, and there is one phrase of him that he's always mentioning: 100% of customers are people, 100% of employees are people. So if you don't know your people, you don't know about business. Yeah, and by that I would say, in terms of attitude, yeah, when you have persons, yeah, with courage, yeah, to come and somehow provoke the rest of the organization for this development, then I would say that this is the best attitude that these, let's say, guys could have in terms of supporting the organization. Because at the end, what we, let's say, where we want to drive Bosch, as I mentioned in the beginning of our debate, yeah, we don't want to stay, or we want to stay ahead, yeah, and therefore we always need to reinvent ourselves, and this we should do daily, yeah, and so really having, yeah, the top management support as well on that. I think this is also a key factor for success, yeah? And together with the courage, yeah, from the ones which are somehow provoking in a good manner the organization, to also look for this, as I mentioned, efficiency innovation, sustaining innovation, or even transforming innovation, yeah, which is even best or better.
Very nice. Not many questions on the chat. I have one here from Marcos. So what do you think Robert Bosch would do today to innovate? That's a very open question, but I'd like to ask you, if you would think with our founder's head, what would we do today to innovate? So someone wants to try?
I don't think nothing different that from 130 years before. Because if you look for Robert Bosch, he inspired us on the innovation, because he was really an entrepreneur. It's not easy to find an entrepreneur, because maybe we need to take all the 8 competence from Bosch that we evaluated our employees, and maybe you need to be the maximal note for each one. Then you are an entrepreneur. That means it's not easy to find, even with 4,100 employees. But I think what Robert Bosch did before and what we are trying to do now, and this concept, these new buzzwords from startups, from Silicon Valley and so on, it does change maybe the name, but and the challenges are totally different. But this spirit of entrepreneur, for me, was already at Robert Bosch 130 years ago.
Very good. Someone wants to add up on that.
Yeah, I have a slightly different view on that, Bruno, I have to say. First of all, I have a beard. Okay, so Robert Bosch had a beard, so I'm a little bit closer here. No, actually, I'm not. But you know,
and bold as well, right?
yeah, true, true. So yeah, a lot of similarities actually. So after setting my competence here, let me quickly comment on that. I think it was Robert Bosch was never an intrapreneur because back then there was nothing for that intra to be there. Basically, what I say, I'm working in a startup that was founded 130 years ago, and it was much more like a startup back then. And that's why I like you saying, it's basically you call it startups today, but back then it was one. And he tried so many different ways and he failed in so many different ways. Nobody knows today that Robert Bosch was inventing a cigar chopper. That's something totally ridiculous and weird, but it was only one of many, many examples he started, of many, many business cases he tried to get up running. And that's what we are still doing today. And failure is part of our mission. That's unfortunately true. And I can only pledge, okay, let's not fail alone. Let's fail together and let's win together. So another pledge for the outside in approach.
But Johannes, sorry for my bad English. I don't want to say intrapreneur. I want to say entrepreneur. That means sorry.
Okay. All right.
But I know that my English is not very good. But and maybe this is a mistake. I would say exactly like you said. This entrepreneur. This is nothing to make different now and 130 years before. He started being very entrepreneur, not entrepreneur.
The entrepreneurship, like this attitude, it's really nice to hear, because most of times I think innovation is very complex, but actually you have to start somewhere. And usually this entrepreneurship spirit is where it comes from. So most of times we even say in startups, like we consider ourselves a startup sometimes here in the Connectory, that like you have to try something new. You have to fail fast and learn fast on that, because if you do not try anything and wait everything to be perfect, you'll never get there. And most of times this entrepreneurship spirit is all about that, really going to a new path that no one has ever done anything there. So sometimes you have to discover things for yourself and try new things. And sometimes they look even stupid, like Johannes said, something that it doesn't make sense in the future, but it's important because then you start connecting the paths and then you see, okay, sometimes for the startups, it's even more important than the idea is the people, because they can pivot. If the idea is not good enough, but the people are good, they can find a new path on that. And then what would you say is the importance of this entrepreneurship culture inside our company to keep things going on in innovation? Maybe Dennis, that he's thinking a lot on that, how to foster this spirit inside our company.
I think this is a task that we all have as leadership and associates, to foster innovation culture, entrepreneurship, however you call it. I think we always need to go around with open eyes, looking at not problems, but looking at solutions for those problems, and seeing if they have relevance. And if you're coming back to Bosch Business, then for sure you need to look at relevance for Bosch and for Bosch Business and domains and strategic search fields. And we as Bosch, as an organization, need to put kind of the right processes, the right tools, the right education there. And we probably also need to educate on the culture. Yeah, so we need to give them outlets where they can learn about the different elements of innovation and how to become an entrepreneur, which comes, for instance, with the failure culture, for instance. Yeah, so that we clearly are open to accept that people are exploring things and for sure will make some mistakes, as long as they learn out of the mistakes. And I think this is also one of the values that Robert Bosch already had. So then it is actually a good thing to do that, as long as it is something that is not risking life or whatever. Yeah, and I see that this is really something that we all need to do, and the instruments that we're having, doing POCs, working out of the Connectory with partners, doing an early stage startup engagement with our startup Harbor, doing or being part of an internal startup in the Grow program. These are all ways of learning, being educated, being an entrepreneur, trying to take risks in a safe, more or less safe environment, because you should not underestimate being an entrepreneur within the Grow platform gives you still a certain comfort level. Yeah, so you for sure have some risks, but it gives you also still the freedom within an organization. Yeah, and I believe that we learn a lot there, and educating in entrepreneurial tools and mindset is a continuous task that we have. And instruments like the Connectory, like our adventure program, like our PSC factory from Jeff Simoni, like the Grow program, these are all elements that add to educating our people in innovation culture, and also making sure that this is part of our DNA. Yeah? And we definitely want to have all associates kind of having at least a part of it. Yeah, we always have a different level of it. And not everyone is coming up with crazy good ideas every day, but there's probably another type of entrepreneur that is listening to your idea and is probably best in improving your idea. Yeah. So there's different kinds of people, and we just need to find the right profiles, matching them, and then trying to get the best out of it.
Very nice. So going to the end, the last 15 minutes of our talk, I have some quick round questions, but I won't use them unless I need them, because I'll then ask the questions from the audience. We have some questions already coming. So please, right now, there are many congratulations. Also, people want to do business with us. I stay here open now, also our LinkedIn for that. But of course, now the questions would be very welcome. So here from Janos, Hunkard, what is the Bosch use level of machine learning artificial intelligence? So a very tech question. Do you have any cases where you can say we are already using machine learning artificial intelligence? I have some myself, but I'd like to ask you first.
I'm not taking that one. Someone of you, because I think it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I hardly touch anything without it. So I give some other one the opportunity.
Yeah, I would go the same level that Johannes mentioned. Just to give one example, we had our last Bosch Connected World in Berlin in February this year here, and there was a clear statement that actually by 2025 every product of Bosch should either be produced with AI or should contain AI at a certain level. And I'm relatively sure, similar to what Johannes said, that this is also true already for a lot of our products and services. And we have our Bosch Center of Artificial Intelligence with locations across the world, where we are constantly developing new solutions for, regardless if it is a manufacturing or if it is our products in the market. So if you're looking at autonomous driving, for instance, where we are very strong, if you're looking at the patents that we are holding there, a lot of that has to do with artificial intelligence for sure. So I think we are very broadly using it, but there's ton more of opportunities in it. And so I think there's a lot of development opportunities for the future, but it is already in a lot of our products and services.
Just complementing what Dennis said, it's not only about the product, because usually when we use our smartphones and then you see that Siri or any kind of tech is really giving some hints for us, analyzing data and generating things that facilitate our lives. But sometimes you don't realize that even for a furniture or for a computer, it can also be manufactured better with the usage of artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques. So for example, for instance, we are very good in producing automotive parts that are used machined, but the machine can also be smarter, so make things cheaper, waste less materials, and by that, in that regard, even going for CO2 neutrality that we have at Bosch as a strategy. So really, artificial intelligence can be not only in products but also in processes, and that's when it comes to a whole ecosystems of using it.
Fernando, there was some very important question that Daniel Lange asked times ago. Maybe I hope that we come to that question again, because that's really important. That's
yeah, for sure. I think I'll put that even for the last, because it's a very, very good questions to close our talk. I'll just put two ones that came along. So what's the relationship between profit and innovation nowadays? Is it possible to get both? Is the question from Anderson Leal. So how to take really the innovation is very nice. You can create new things, but when you talk about profit, how is the relationship between both sides?
Maybe it's very easy. Let me see. If you think in this concept from Tushman regarding to explore and exploit word, where you think that the exploit is more regarding to the current business and the improvements that you need to make and the innovation in the business units that already exist. And explore is that you try to explore something totally new. The relationship for me is that the exploit word should have the revenues and profit to finance the explore word. Because this is very important. Of course, you need all. You can also have external investors like RBVC does for the startups. But thinking a Bosch as a company, you need to make profit to reinvest in innovation, to reinvest in the explore world. This is my understand in this relationship between both.
Very good. I'll go to Daniel Lange's question, because he is also a very important part of the Connectory. Thank you, Daniel, to be also on the live. So if we look just a moment to get to his question, because there are a lot of comments, and actually, thank you very much, everyone, for really giving us congratulations for this year of anniversary. It's very honored to be here. Just to take his question out of here. So most executives are very busy people focused on core business, and often those possibilities offered by open innovation are too vague, or initially small. So it's something that it doesn't seem so relevant to be prioritized. So how to deal with it? In your perspective, how to deal with executives that are, like Bruno said, it's important for them to generate results so that it can be reinvested, but sometimes how to take notice that innovation is important and it's not something to take aside from a strategy perspective.
Okay, so and I love that question, because it's really touching something that I'm really struggling with for years now, and I have a very distinct answer to that one. If we bring up something that is vague and maybe might not even be able to prioritize, let's not do it. Let's drop it. I'm serious on that. We are not in the times, to fancy around with business models that might play out in 10 years' time. Let's not do it. These core guys are right. Okay, these guys are the ones that have to finance our innovation, to reinvest. If it's vague, it's us, the Connectory and the business unit developers and the innovators' job to make it concrete and to make it handy, to make it viable. It's our job here, if we bring in partners, it's our responsibility that we can prove the business impact. If we don't have it, we should not do it. We are not a happy innovation culture, where we're just waving funny flags. It's about business impact. If we don't see this, if this is too vague, stop it. Also for the sake of our partners. So I'm very, very distinct on that, and I'm very clear on that, because I think that's the role that we are playing, and that's our responsibility here as we are speaking in that group here. Of course, there are different levels how you can tackle that question, but that's my view on it.
Probably one thing to add from my end to that, and that is a little bit a link between what Johannes said and Bruno said. I agree to a certain extent that exploratory or disruptive innovation needs to somehow be pre-financed because it will not directly bring return on investment in terms of revenue. Therefore, I believe that, and that is coming back to what Johannes said, I think we need to have, based on our innovation management system, we need to have an iterative KPI model, which clearly says what are the KPIs in the first phase, might be that exploratory phase. So what do we really want to achieve? And we need to make a good and very strong case on those KPIs. And then we need to see, okay, what is coming next? And my example for that is always an Amazon example, is with the Prime topic. I would say they had in the beginning not the task to earn a lot of money with Prime customer, but they wanted to have a lot of Prime users. Because that was the first KPI that they needed to achieve. But they had already the other KPIs that would come in later stages already in mind. And they would already know how they would develop the business model in phase 2 and phase 3. And if you can build that iterative business model, you can follow a certain amount of time with the first KPI, which is probably not revenue, but you're sure that once you come to level 2 or level 3, that will turn around and will be very concrete and will be very quantitative and can make really the difference. And that's kind of the line between the two, because in the initial phase where you have a KPI that does not earn money right away, you need still to have a KPI that the rest of the business is willing to finance you and your initiative.
Very nice. Then complementing also what Dennis and Johannes said, Giovanna asked a question because she wanted to follow what Daniel said. So how to engage not only top management, but also employees on that, on the project of open innovation. So for example, sometimes they are busy with their daily business, with their activities, how to engage people to enter those projects in open innovation and to do something that sometimes is a little bit more of what they are doing in their daily activities. Cesar, maybe can you put it? So someone that works in a plant, in a production plant, that is fostering innovation in a adjacent business, so to say.
Yeah. Maybe reaching or touching a little bit what Bruno mentioned about the differences in the exploit area and the explore area. Yeah. So when we are in a plant or in a certain way, in a certain range, we are more, let's say, triggered by fast result. Yeah. And I think Dennis brought a very important topic. Yeah. KPIs. Yeah. Usually top management are really fostering the results of whereas they are investing their money. Yeah. And in terms of KPI, it's very important that we always talk that exploit area needs to have KPIs which are different from the KPIs which are given in the explore area. And I think what Dennis mentioned with the Amazon example, it's amazing, yeah, because Prime at the beginning was not looking for business or the amount of turn or cash in that they would receive, but the amount of users to afterwards, yeah, think on about of the amount of money. Yeah, so business model construction into superior levels time by time. Now coming more specifically to what Giovanna asked, and thanks Giovanna for your question. I would say that we have touched a little bit this into the attitude of the persons, yeah, in terms of being into partnerships, yeah. It's really part of the, let's say, the spirit of each one of those that it's really, let's say, fostering these topics to be also one of the fancy words that we say nowadays, very resilient, yeah. Because I would say, especially in the big companies, most of the times, as everyone, it's more, let's say, fostering the KPIs in the exploit area. They are somehow built not in a bad way, but to destruct your business, to destruct everything that you are trying to bring as new. Yeah, and don't take me wrong, I'm not saying in a bad way, yeah, but in a constructive way, yeah, because they really want to see where the money they are investing in, it's bringing a result or not. Yeah? So for me, it's really a way that you need to push back the customer centricity, and then here orient the mindset of the persons that are involved in this path, that certain times you need to change a little bit the hats and look for that business in a different manner. Yeah? So not the same KPIs that are currently used to the exploit area will be worth it for the explore topics as well, or even for the current KPIs that we are looking in the, let's say, official process that we have, use it to this exploit or explore topics. Yeah.
A question here from Lucia. Do you want to add something, Simon?
Yes. Maybe the best answer to this question could be the way that you in Curitiba find to create the innovation hub. Was exactly at this point that the economic situation for, especially for diesel, was very, very bad. Ever leadership think only in cutting costs and save money, and you start to create something to touch adjacent opportunities. This is unbelievable what you in Curitiba did, and how you motivated at the end the people, or not only the leadership but also the employees, and now it's work for yourself. Yourself. It's not necessary to put a strong energy on that. You put a strong energy at the beginning, and you convince the importance to looking for those opportunities and to make the innovation happens there. I think this is, maybe you can answer very well. You, Daniel, Fernanda, all the people involved in these initiatives. I'm not talking about Connectory. I'm talking about the first initiative before the connector was born in Curitiba. That means this is amazing. Maybe this is the best case that you can show.
Yeah,
how you can do this.
Yeah, and that's, for me, that's the point where we touch the attitude of the persons and also the support for the top management. Yeah, because, for example, taking the current crisis, yeah, we could have decided to completely cut everything that we are currently doing to foster these new paths. Yeah, but instead of that, we are, let's say, the top of management also of Bosch Curitiba is a truly believer, I would say, that we are fighting for our, let's say, for our future. Yeah, so we are designing our future instead of waiting, for example, for Johannes bring a good startup for us over here in Bosch Curitiba, right, Johannes?
But so, why not? This is also
obviously you can bring Johannes. Don't take me wrong here. Yeah,
but something very nice. We have in the audience a lot of people from our plant as well, and I would say, as you mentioned, Bruno, it's a cultural change thing. It takes years, and sometimes one of our drivers were survival, really, like survival spirit. Like things weren't going smoothly. If we just waited for new production lines, things wouldn't go the way we wanted. So why not fostering, creating it? Sometimes, of course, using a little of the budget that we have in the plant, and sometimes, of course, putting more pressure on the products that we already have. But if we stop that in a 5 years, maybe horizon, you lost it, because then you are not more competitive. Then you have to lay off people sometimes when there is a crisis, like it happened in 2016. And how to turn that in a crisis situation, an opportunity, that's a great thing. And I wanted to add what in Luciano question, because do you think COVID-19 will impact how much we innovate at Bosch? What do you guys think?
I would start here just by saying COVID-19 is, of course, a great impact. It's visible in any region, in any business unit that we have, and it's forcing us right now to be more efficient. We need to be more efficient in innovating. So it doesn't matter if it's inside out or outside in. It forces us to be really focused in the future. And that's why I meant stop looking for fuzzy things we don't understand. Right now is not the time for that. That's already an impact. It means grow must be very focused on validating business models before we start scaling it. You know, the Connectory guys, they need to make sure that we know the business impact. And also, the same is true for Open Bosch. So we must be more efficient, and utilizing outside forces is extremely efficient. And one thing I would just wanted to add, because you said there are a lot of plant guys here, okay? The manufacturing people and the plant guys are one of the most estimated resources we have within Bosch. We are not talking only about product innovation. We are very, very often talking about process innovation, making our production much more lean, much more efficient, you know, and a lot of innovation shifts today to the plants. And this is a huge chunk that's going on. That's already a huge impact we see. And innovation is coming more and more from the plants, innovating on their processes. So this is also in the responsibility of those who are listening to this today. You know, this is something where you can profit, what you can bring in. You can start connecting to the connectories if you see something where you think there could be a change or there could be a profit. You know, there are people that can help and can utilize and can look for the right partners. Or you can contact Open Bosch, it doesn't matter. We are very, very closely aligned. But this is something that's happening today. It's a lot of innovation happening within our processes, within our plants.
Sure thing. As I am a facilities management manager, and on the other side, fostering innovation, the Connectory. But that's very nice, Johannes, because mixing both worlds is a very important thing, because Bosch lives in this whole world of manufacturing things, innovating, and it's really a whole. We are Bosch really in a broader perspective, so to say. You wanted to say something, Bruno?
No, just saying that it's exactly that, but maybe COVID-19 brings also some opportunities for Bosch, and not only opportunities to sell something or to create new product, but also to demonstrate some agility, let me say. If you think that we are able to develop a respirator, how can I say os respiradores?
Mechanical respirators. I think so, yeah.
Respirators using auto parts fully from zero. Maybe in 1 month we have already a prototype, and somehow another 3-4 weeks a B prototype. It's really working and make the most important function of a respirator using only auto parts. This is unbelievable how fast we can also demonstrate, maybe to create prototypes and so on. This is for me was a very interesting demonstration. How can we be competitive, changing maybe products or service that we never thought before to do. This was very interesting also.
And going for the last part of our talk, now going to end our event, I would like to give everyone a chance to give a final statement, and as just a guiding, but what do you believe will Bosch do to strive in the future? So if we have 130 years of history, what do we have to do to have the next 130 years in the future? So what do you think will make us really have success in the future?
Well, maybe I go first. I think we have to make sure that the world still exists in 130 years. And I think Bosch is doing a great job on that. You know, we're the first carbon neutral company. We are spending a lot of our profit to our foundation, which involves social projects. I think that's the most important thing if we are still able to profit in 130 years. That's the first thing I want to mention. The other one is it's not our choice if we are still existing in 130 years. It's a choice of our customers. And if we can make our customers happy, we'll be here in 130 years, and our values are worth going there. And still, it's a long way, and it's a lot of challenges. And everybody here, we have to work together. It doesn't matter if outside in or inside out. We have to utilize everything we can, that we make sure that our values are still in existence in 130 years from now.
Very nice, Johannes. And the others, what do you have to add?
I would add one I would add one point for me, which this pandemic actually brought for us, which is collaboration, or partnerships. I think this time actually brought a lot more collaboration and partnerships being constructed easily. And I think for us to be alive for the next 130 years, I think that if we explore more this, I think this is a very key element that we should foster to have this, let's say, success history keeping going and going. Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Bruno and Dennis.
So I'm very happy to see what Bosch is doing, trying to balance all the initiatives inside out, outside in, explore, exploit, and think that. But especially what our strength is that we can use this global network that we have, not only internal network but also external network, that we have this potential to make the opportunities globally. And sometimes we start think locally, but at the end we need to think globally. This is for me maybe a very important point. And if you have time, maybe I left here one question to Johannes. There's a plan maybe to have RBVC in LA in Latin America sometime. This is only a provocation question also to Johannes.
All right, I'll take that one once Caesar has made his statement.
Dennis. Probably. What I would like just to add, I think most of it has been said, but I think we need to focus on our strengths and on our values. I think this is continuously important because that also strives kind of things like CO2 neutrality and everything that has a lot to do also with the values that we are driving for. So we need to focus on our strengths. We have a lot of core competencies that no other company has. We need to focus on that while at the same point in time exploring kind of the opportunities in collaborating, co-innovating with partners and driving innovation and being fast on that. And I believe that this could be a recipe to really move on. Yeah.
Very good. Johannes, you want to give an answer to the point that Bruno raised?
Yeah, Latin America is important, and we know that we are aware of that, and we are handling Latin America right now out of our office in Sunnyvale. And our head of this office is coming from Latin America, so he was born and raised basically in Venezuela, which is not too far away. At the moment, we are such a small organization. We are only 20 people around the global network. So we rather like to partner in a lot of aspects, like we want to have it with the Bosch people to do it as well. And in that aspect, we are close together and we can kind of like have this, we can make this happen as well. But one thing I want to ask you all of you, I think we should have some kind of weird ending here. I didn't hear anybody singing for the Connectory so far. I mean,
so
should we try this?
Yeah,
sure.
So okay. Let's start then.
Very good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Happy birthday
to you.
Like
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. We needed your slides now, Johannes.
It was great. That was great.
Thank you very much, guys. And I'd like to thank you all that you are in the chat. Thank you for joining us. It was a great event. We are very happy to share with all of you this moment, and also really the history that we are building together. So if you have some questions, if you need a partner, if you want to show your startup, if you want to share your project or your organization, just go over to our LinkedIn. You have our contacts there, and we'll be more than glad to go further with the partnerships with you. So thank you very much for everyone that joined the event today. Thank you, Johannes, Dennis, Cesar, and Bruno for the amazing discussion, and also for the fun of ending in such a way. Thank you very much. And have a nice week, everyone.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you also.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.